Do you need to break up with your friends in order to find a husband and get married and fall in love and live happily ever after? My name is Malaika Neri. I'm a professional Indian matchmaker. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how our friends influence whether or not we achieve our goals. The idea for this video actually came about because I was working with a student for about the 2 years, and we were talking about her 5 closest friends. While we were doing this exercise, she told me, actually, none of my 5 closest friends are in stable relationships with someone they want to marry. And I said, if that's the circle that's influencing you, then how are you going to get married? And the whole concept blew her mind. Then I did a poll on my Instagram saying, if you have a friend who doesn't match your goals whatsoever, but is available, would you hang out with them? And the vast majority of people responded, yes, I would. In fact, some of my own friends said, why should we break up with our friends just because they don't match our goals? What if we just like our friends? So I wanted to make this video to talk to you about how friends relate to our goals and how I have been influenced to think about this topic. I've learned from Alex Hormozi, who is a serial entrepreneur, very happily married to his wife, who he credits with a lot of his success. He says that our friends and our goals are highly interconnected because your friends will determine whether or not you achieve your goals. Alex Hormozi says that your goals will usually outlast most of your relationships. And so if you want to achieve your goals, you need to build your life around your goals rather than your relationships. So let's dive in. We all have heard that famous saying, you're the sum of the 5 people who are closest to you. And that might be true, or it might not be in your life. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 different scenarios to help you decide whether or not your friends are supporting your goal to get married, find this amazing guy, fall in love, and start a family. By definition, finding a partner will mean a lifestyle change. And most of the women I speak to say, when I meet that guy, if I meet someone, then I'll do all the lifestyle changes required to be with him. But I found that it doesn't really work that way. Experience has taught me that we need to change, and then the guy shows up in our lives, even if you are meeting him through an introduction with a professional Indian matchmaker. This is even more so the case when you want to be with a guy who doesn't match your current lifestyle, values, and mindset. In fact, most of us want to be with a guy who matches future us, a smarter, better, thinner version of who we are today. And you have a complete right to want that. That's totally reasonable and achievable for you. You have this goal to find the right guy who matches the version of you who you want to be as you grow older and grow in your career. Somebody who's fit, who looks after their health and their body, who's ambitious, who wants to grow and build in their own career, just like you want to grow in your career, and who wants to start a family together, who sees themselves becoming a parent. Today, if you're not a parent, it's very difficult to set in place the lifestyle changes that would require you to become a parent. And yet, that is what we need to do. We need to start making those changes today in order to create future us, which would then attract the guy that matches future you. How do friends play into this? Our friends match who we are today. And in my own case, my friends, many of them match who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The friends that I've had for a long time don't share my lifestyle values and mindset of today, but we have history together. Some of these friends have evolved with me and we still share the same values and mindset, and some haven't, but they're still part of my life. For most people, it's going to be very threatening if you do decide to change your lifestyle. If you do decide to suddenly start working out a whole bunch or change your diet or start applying for a new job, many of those friends will judge you or they'll feel like you are outpacing them. And these are all concepts that I learned from Alex Hormozi when he talked about how people would judge him and speak negativity over him, saying like, oh, you're probably not going to get that job. This is probably not going to go work out. That guy probably doesn't like you all that much. And how he chose to focus on his goals and therefore reduce contact or even cut out people from his life who didn't match the goals he set. Our friends can either help us achieve our goals through support, encouragement, and positive energy, or they can hinder us through making negative comments, or just not believing in us at all. So what do you do? Should you break up with your current friends? Should you make new friends? How do you make new friends? It's already so hard to meet a guy. And what if you don't want to break up with your friends? What if you like them? I'm going to share 3 examples to help you decide what you need to do in order to actually make your goal of getting married and falling in love come true, because that's what we're here to talk about. Number 1 is a story of how I wanted to get more fit. So earlier this year, I set myself very dramatic fitness goals, and I started making a list of what I could do to achieve them. Now, I've been told by one of my students, actually, hey, you should focus on eating more protein. So I went online, found a protein calculator, and thought, okay, I need to eat more protein. I can do that. It's just a matter of ordering different groceries. The second thing I needed to do was add in more weight training into my fitness regime. So I signed up to a high-end yoga studio, which was so expensive that I was like, I am going to go there every single day. So I went every single day for the first 6 months of the year for 2 hours every day. So that's about 14 hours a week, or about 60 hours a month, a huge chunk of my week and my month. The third thing I did is I joined a Facebook group that had about 20,000 people in it. And every single day I would read 2 to 4 case studies, different people in the group saying, I ate this is the impact it had on my weight loss. Other people saying, I had this much weight loss and I did this much amount of exercise or weight training or walking my dog. And so every day I was being influenced by all of these people who were very fitness driven, very much focused on getting enough protein and eating a healthy diet that would enable them to have the kind of body that they want for themselves. And they represented future me. So in a month, I was reading nearly 100 case studies of people who were like future me. The final thing that I did is I asked a close friend of mine who is a Pilates teacher to be my accountability buddy. She has these amazing abs. And I was like, tell me what to do, because I feel like I'm going to the gym. I'm already at a decent level of fitness, but I still don't know how to achieve my fitness goals. So she gave me a list of things to do. She said, you need to drink enough water every single day. You need to count your steps. So I wasn't really counting my steps. And every year, my phone would send me a notification saying, you have walked less steps this year than you did last year. And I was like, oops, how do I fix that? Thanks to speaking with this friend, I made an objective to walk 10,000 steps every single day, no matter what, which I count with my smartwatch. And if I'm not wearing my watch, I count it with my phone every single day, no matter where in the world I am, no matter what I'm doing. And it was thanks to my conversation with this friend, Kemi. She said, you need to take the stairs. So I was living on the 2nd floor and I would take the elevator. And she's like, well, the stairs are right there. They're going to help you have a fitter butt. Take the stairs. So I started taking the stairs. She said, avoid dessert. You can have dessert once a month, but it's definitely not an every weekend occurrence. So I stopped eating dessert. Very sad, but it met my goals. She said, you can eat fruit. Don't try to cut everything sweet out of your diet. Otherwise, you're going to want to quit. Go slowly and give yourself a treat. If you want to give yourself a treat, have an orange. So oranges are not super sweet. She didn't say, go crazy, eat bananas and mangoes. She said, have an orange. So I allowed myself 1 orange a day, 1 orange every couple of days. And finally, she said, don't rush this process. The more slowly you lose your body fat, the more sustainable it will be. So she gave me these tips and I implemented all of them. What was really interesting is that when I began talking about my fitness regime with my other friends, besides this Pilates teacher friend, nearly everyone had something not exactly supportive to say. One friend said, you don't want to work out too much. You don't want to get too thin. And I was like, but I'm not going to get too thin. I'm not going to be anorexic. I love food. I'm just going to get more fit. So I was like, this is so weird. And then I had some other friends complaining about how they didn't feel good in their bodies, but they weren't going to the gym and lifting weights. So I was like, okay, lifestyle not matching goals. And then the 4th friend I spoke to, I was talking about what my new regimen. And this friend was like, oh yeah, I go to the gym, but I have no motivation or desire to change my diet and to focus on healthy eating. I mean, I think I eat healthy enough. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like this person's food choices, lifestyle choices do not match their goals. And therefore, they're going to influence me to think that your diet is not that important. When in fact, fitness is 80% diet and 20% whatever workouts you do. So I quickly realized, talking to my friends, most of my friends, that they did not share the same goal and they were not approaching that goal, even if they did share it in the same way. So what I didn't break up with them. I kept all of those friends, but I just spent less time with them. Where I spent the vast majority of the time was in my yoga studio, going to yoga classes. Some were easy, some were difficult. And spending so much time there, 15 hours every single week, exposed me to people who take their health and fitness extremely seriously. They're very strong. All these girls are like beautiful biceps, abs, etc. And as I started spending more time with them, I watched how they ate, how much time they spent working out, where else, what other kinds of workouts they did. And so it started reinforcing me with more people who shared my fitness goals. The second thing that I did is that I was reading these case studies in this Facebook group of 20,000 members that, again, was constantly reinforcing me that my goals were reasonable and that I could and would achieve them. And finally, I only spoke to this one friend who was my accountability buddy about my fitness goals. So I took photos of my body every single day for 90 days. And at the end of 90 days or the end of every 30 days, I'd send her photos and be like, look, this is how far I've come. And she would say, bravo, keep going. You're doing so well. I'm so proud of you. But I didn't discuss my fitness goals with anyone else. So for most of this time, it was winter. I was wearing sweaters every day. My friends didn't see any change in my body. But the one friend who I did share my photos with was that friend who gave me all the tips to get fitter. That was the one friend who I could count on to support the goals that were linked to me becoming future me, rather than their own insecurities about me being thinner or whatever than they were. So that is option number one. Just spend less time with friends who don't match future you and try to influence yourself more by bringing in more voices of people who match future you, as I did through joining a Facebook forum, joining a new yoga studio, and communicating with my one friend who happens to be a Pilates teacher, so that the new influence drowns out the negative voices of your current friends. Second story that I'm going to share with you, which will bring us to option two. So my goal for being in a long-term serious relationship has always been complete transparency, especially around finances. I had this very, very close friend. We were like this. She was in a long-term serious relationship with a great guy. He treated her really well. They are still together happily ever after. They fell in love. But they had dramatically different financial situations. So his income was $150,000 a year net, and her income was $11 an hour gross. Totally different financial situations. They lived in a very high cost of living city. And what she would do is spend with her credit card, because naturally, in a high cost of living city, earning $11 an hour, she very often didn't have enough money just to buy groceries. So rather than speak to her partner about her financial situation, say, hey, I need help, she used a credit card to buy groceries. And her partner was completely oblivious. He had no idea about her true financial situation and the fact that she was racking up credit card debt that was repaid at 25% per month. So it was just an untenable situation that should not go on. So I sat her down, I had a conversation with her, and I was like, look, this is a really bad situation for you. It is going to dig you into a hole that will be very difficult to get out of. The hole called credit card debt, in which most Americans find themselves. I do not want to see you go into that hole. Please have a conversation with him. Tell him that you need help. This man loves you so much. I am sure that he will want to help you. And even if he doesn't want to pay for everything, he will most likely want to at least pay for something so that you don't dig yourself deeper into the hole of credit card debt. And she refused. She said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to him about my finances. I'm not ready to do that. The end. And so we had a big argument about this. It was a huge clash in values. My value of having complete transparency with your partner about finances, especially when it's a sensitive topic like credit card debt, and her value of everyone keeping their own secrets. We ended our friendship due to this break in values. And this story really illustrates how our values define the goals that we set for ourselves, which match future you. So future me was in a happy relationship with a completely transparent uh, conversation with my husband around our finances and pooling all of our finances together so that we could make decisions as a team. And future her was separate finances and secrets around what each person is doing with their money. So this is option number 2, is breaking up with friends who don't match the values that determine the goals that you set to become future you. So it's not that the friends don't match your goals, it's that the friends don't match the values you have today. And those are the values, example, transparency in finances, sharing finances, that determine the goals that you set for yourself. Example, I want to be in a happy marriage where we have transparency around our finances and we pool our finances. That you set for yourself to become future you. And option number 3 is my favorite option. It is the most gentle option, but it requires the most effort. So I'm going to walk you through a story that illustrates exactly how this option works. Last year, I made a new friend. She lived really close to me, so we got to see each other at least once a week, and on a good week, we saw each other multiple times. It was awesome. We got along super well. She was a successful professional living in a high cost of living city where it's really helpful to have 2 incomes. And then after she got married, she became a stay-at-home wife, and then she became a stay-at-home mom when they had kids, she and her husband. So today she is living the dream life that many of us financially independent women aspire to. She has a husband she loves, who loves her and adores her. She lives in a city in which she feels really, really good, comfortable, happy, and she has 2 healthy children. So she taught me 3 things. She taught me that even as a financially independent woman with a great career, you can be totally fulfilled by family life. This was a model that I hadn't seen either while growing up or in my life up till meeting her. And she just showed me through being herself, living her life, telling me so many positive stories about her husband and her daughter, about how fulfilling and meaningful it was, even as a highly educated, financially independent professional that she was before all of that happened. She wants to go back to work. I think she really plans to go back to work. And she had a really prestigious job when she was working. But she is in a season where family life is her top priority. She taught me through being herself that you can prioritize this. And if you want to, you should prioritize this. The right partner will support you. And finally, she taught me that you can find a husband who treats you like a princess, as her husband treated her. It was so beautiful to watch how excited her husband was to see her every single day when he came home from work. She also taught me that finding that kind of relationship requires taking massive risks. So although she and her partner had been dating before this happened, right before they got married, she had to leave her job, move to a city where she didn't speak the language, and put all of her energy and focus onto supporting her husband growing in his career rather than on her growing in her own career. She had to give up everything that was important to her in order to invest in her own relationship. It taught me that if I want to become future me, which is happily married in a loving partnership and relationship with my amazing husband, who's ambitious, a successful professional, who's growing in his career, and he totally is crazy about me. He's deeply in love with me. He supports all of my dreams. Then at some point, I will need to sacrifice my goals to support him, because men need our support too. This friend also taught me that life is seasonal. We have different seasons. She's in the season of family and very young children, and that's okay. That's fulfilling and meaningful too. So future me is in a loving partnership and marriage with healthy, happy children. And she taught me that in order to become that future me, I would have to make sacrifices in the short term. Through building my friendship with this person, I started to understand far more in depth the kind of sacrifices I need to make, the kind of lifestyle choices that would go along with me achieving my goal of having that happy marriage. And finally, what it looks like to have achieved that goal, be in that happy marriage, have those healthy young children, and start to think about the next step, which is her eventually going back to work. So that's option number 3, is to make a new friend. It required a lot of time and energy at the beginning, and I still continue to invest in this relationship through spending time together, phone calls, gifts, birthday parties, etc. So a new relationship is a lot of work, but it is the gentlest manner in terms of how do you manage your friendships around your goals to become future you. So these are 3 different methods that you can use to determine whether your current friends are supporting your goals, either non-verbally or verbally. And if you're going to achieve your goal based on your current friends, this is not an invitation to break up with your friends. That is totally up to you. You can decide what you want to do, and you are free to choose. I have found in my own life that I wasn't always willing to break up with a friend unless they made an egregious comment, or they did something that just did not match with my values. So in the vast majority of cases, I try to focus on bringing new people into my life or new influences who match future me. When I do have friends who don't support my future goals, or they make comments that indicate a mindset that doesn't match where I want to go. Example, if I set financial goals for myself and I have income goals, and I have friends who say, oh, it's so hard. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make more money. Oh, we're broke, this and that. I don't break up with them. I simply spend less time with them because I don't want to be influenced by that mindset whatsoever. It's totally up to you. You decide. What is fundamental to remember is that your friends are influencing you. They are playing a huge role in how likely you are to achieve your goals. And the best way, one of the top 3 ways to achieve your goals, is to put yourself around people who are doing the same thing or who are a few steps ahead of you. So when it comes to falling in love and finding a husband, you want to be around people who are actively dating and meeting potential partners, husband material men, every single month, and ideally every single week. You want to be around people who speak positively about men and how wonderful men are. And finally, you want to be around people who say, come what may, I'm getting married, I'm going to start a family. This is my top priority, and I will do whatever it takes to make sure that this happens for me in my life. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below on this very controversial topic, and I will see you in my next video.